Hi guys, this is Jo. Today we're going to be talking about feeling rusty sometimes when we act, right? I think there's two different situations about rustiness. Either you're very aware that you're rusty and you are or not doing something about it, or you're not aware and you kind of discover it the hard way, meaning you go to an audition or you're on set and you're expected to deliver some sort of, emotional level or intensity, and you realize that even though you know you're talented, somehow you're not able to deliver, right? So your instrument is rusty because maybe you haven't been working in a long time, because maybe you're not training, because maybe you left the business. Yes, maybe you left the business and you had other things to do and you did them, and now you're back and you're really excited about it, but yet your instrument is not at the same place than where your head is at. So there's a gap, right? So that can happen too. And you know that you're talented, but when you have that big opportunity or a nice opportunity, you suddenly realize that it feels like an uphill battle, or it feels like a black hole, like you're in front of the camera and nothing's coming out. And that's really not a fun experience at all, because again, you love this job, you know how great you are, you know your talent, and if it's not coming out, it can be very frustrating, especially if you're missing out on big opportunities, right? So let's look today at what is actually happening, because being rusty is not the problem. There's a root problem. Being rusty is only actually a consequence. So let's look at what is really, really happening underneath the rust that you feel. You're rusty not because you're not working. You're probably rusty because somehow your level of commitment or your level of passion is not as important as it could be. So let me put it this way. If you're really, really, really interested in storytelling, in defending characters, in the art of acting and the art of being fully alive, you're always working. Whether you're training, you're working, you're creating content, you find a gang with whom you rehearse and you play and you do little things. Even in COVID, there's so many things are being done in a absolutely new way. If you're interested in this art, you are working nonstop, paid or not paid. So you do not get rusty. If you're trying to be interesting, meaning you're thirsty for being booked and you're waiting by the phone, you're not committed. You're not passionate. You're thirsty to get picked. You're thirsty to get chosen. You're thirsty to get validated, but you're not thirsty for moving your instrument and all your energy into giving. You want to take, right? So I'm using a couple of strong words here. I'm saying that if you're rusty, it means you're trying to be interesting rather than being interested. If you were interested, you would create the content and the opportunities and the groups and the trainings and the incessant events for you to be acting all the time, because your life would depend on it. If you're trying to be interesting, you're waiting for validation. You're waiting for someone to find you and pick you. And that can't happen because you're not interested. You're trying to be interesting. You see the loop? You're an actor. You've made this decision to be an actor or an entertainer, a singer, whatever. Well, if that is your decision, then that becomes your responsibility. Not that you're to blame for anything that happens, but it becomes in your power to do something about it. And if you're always sitting with the victims and choosing that behavior as, they're not calling me and the phone is not ringing and there's no work and it's COVID and all of that kind of talk, well, that's what you're going to be looping in, right? But if you're making it your responsibility, your priority, because you cannot live without it, to actually bring your soul to the world of storytelling and characters, you will not stop working. because you will generate work by yourself, by your energy, by the content you'll create, by the networking that you'll make, and also because that energy will pay off. When you're committed and you give everything you have, and you're not staying tied up in your own blocks and fears and hiding, people see that. It's a very, very yummy energy that people want to hire. They want you. They want you to stick around. They want to be around you when you have that energy. But when you have the energy of someone who is sitting in their ego, waiting to be picked and to be chosen and to be validated, not only are you not generating content and work for yourself, but you're also having an energy that's not very attractive. It's not very charming. It's not giving. That's the other analogy I was making, right? So when you're committed and passionate, you are giving. It means you cannot stop yourself from acting and training and writing and making things with other actors. You're giving yourself. When you're sitting by the phone and waiting for it to ring or for opportunities to show up, you're taking. So that's your choice. What do you want to be? Interested or trying to be interesting? Do you want to be responsible? Do you want to be a victim? Do you want to be a giver or do you want to be a taker? I'm not saying one is better than the other, but you will probably have a different experience when you're a giver or a taker. And so what's going to work for you? What would be more interesting for you, for the experience of it, and what will generate the most results, right? And usually people stay on the side of trying to be interesting and taking and being a victim when they're not really completely open in their instrument, when they're blocked. So they are finding ways in a way to hide, and they don't give their everything because they have stuff to hide. So that's why we're always talking about resetting your instrument and working through your blocks in the work we're doing. Because once you're reset, once you're your full, entire, alive, badass motherfucker self, nothing stops you. You're just like a child on a playground. You cannot stop. And when you're like hiding and, just justifying and being lazy or being a coward, well, basically nothing's going to happen. You might get lucky a couple times, sure. But are you going to get what you want? No. So my recommendation is that you take care of yourself. You take care of your instrument. You work through those blocks. You wake up your freedom and your instinct so that you become unfucking stoppable. And when you're unfucking stoppable, the world is your oyster. Things come to you non-stop. The people in our community have the most ridiculous stories. I interviewed someone, if you missed it, on Wednesday, Caroline, who was about to give up, and then she reset her instrument, got free, worked through her blocks, and she just booked the lead in a feature where they saw 500 people. They didn't even want to give her a call back. And she's one out of I don't know how many. These stories are pouring. When you are your true, honest, weird, sticky, fucked up, broken self, untethered, untied, uncaged, free, like the real deal, authentic, nothing can stop you. People come to you. You're magnetic. They feel your energy. They want it because they want to be free too, and they want you in their story. Yes, create your opportunities nonstop. Like you become like a fountain when you're free because you can't stop. You're finally open and functional. So it just pours out of you. Your creativity, your relationship skills, your everything. It's just like you're in flow. You're in the zone, and people want you, and you want to create more. So it's the giving. It's being interested. It's being responsible, committed, passionate. So rusty is not an excuse. No, rusty doesn't exist if you're committed. Okay, guys, so if this work is interesting for you, remember that we are currently doing a COVID support for people who are dealing with financial difficulties. And we do a BOGO offer, so you can get it at 50%. If you're interested, type reset in the comments and we'll send you some information. And I think that's it. I said and that's my signature ending for tonight, for this afternoon, actually. All right. Thank you guys. I'll answer your questions later, and thank you for your participation, and have a great weekend. Bye.